All right, two things. First of all, is this the first time that both of us are recording at the actual place where we usually record podcasts?
At
Because
work.
I think, right, at work. Well, you're at work. I'm at home. If I'm recording podcasts, it's almost always here. I don't usually record things at work. So that's a milestone of some kind. The second thing is I need you to help me because I think this might be the day that Mike finally figures out that I don't know what I'm doing and I get fired. Um, so I'm about to get on a onboarding call with Subsplash. As you may know, Broxton, Pulpit AI has been recently acquired by slash is partnering with Subsplash. And there's just one small problem. In about 20 minutes, I'm going to be on an onboarding call with their team. And Broxton, I don't know what Subsplash is or precisely what it does. So I would not like to have to admit that. And
Okay.
I need you, your mission is to give me the really quick download on like what are we dealing with here? I know that it's like it helps churches do media, storage and sermon stuff, and I know that they do app stuff and they've got website stuff that they do, but that it's pretty vague. So I need your help.
Okay. So is this where I like give the positives and negatives about Subsplash, or do you just want?
Here we go. Oh gosh. Okay, spicy. I have been told, look, I have been told that I have free fire in this. This is a free fire zone. So yeah, I'm just interested to hear like because I know that you guys are actually using it. So
Yeah. Okay. So I mean, like I'm only half joking. I mean, like my okay. So we'll back up and start from the beginning, I guess. We started using Subsplash maybe 2 years ago, almost 3 years ago. We had, uh, I actually used to be on board the Brady Shearer no church needs an app thing.
he
Um,
famously believes that. Yes.
yeah. And so, but we had one before I came on staff here at Ridgecrest. So we've had one for a long time. I think this is probably like our third or fourth one. And I think the others were really just extensions of the website. And to be fair to Brady, I think that is his thesis that if it is
Why
just
make everybody do a separate thing that most of
yeah,
them are going
like
to forget to download and then yeah, right, sure,
yeah,
sure,
like
sure.
if you basically have a shell that fits into a mobile app, but it's just a bunch of links to pages on your website, then that's a waste of your time, which I understand, and I probably agree with that. Um, but anyway, I think the reason we came around to Subsplash is for some reason or another, the current provider that we had was either acquired by somebody else or something was changing, and so we needed to do a new one. And I don't even remember how I found Subsplash, but I did. Um, and my biggest thing was not trying to do just a replication of the website, try to do something a little bit different. Um, at the time, I think we were doing like obviously we were broadcasting our sermons and hosting sermons and stuff like that, but we were also doing a couple of podcasts at the time, I think, which we no longer do. We've just started a new one. But anyway, I wanted a good place to house all that in an app. And so that's what I got started with Subsplash with. Um, I'm trying to think anything else that you might need to know. Like,
So like it goes so no you're starting way too high level. So they are a software provider for churches that is providing what? Like I get out of the box, I get what as a church? I get an app that then I'm storing sermons on and what else?
yeah, there's like a Bible app feature on there to where like you
Nice.
can, I mean, it's basically just obviously a Bible and like there's several different versions and, you can set it to read to you audio form. We don't use this, but one cool feature on the Bible tab is that you can import your own custom reading plan,
That's pretty
which,
cool.
point one for Subsplash over YouVersion, because we've talked about this before. Like I've tried to get our devotions on YouVersion and it's not always easy. Like I've yet to get one on there. Because YouVersion has their own process of when they accept new submission.
But you could just
But
kind of roll your own with this.
yeah, so like you could do like, for example, I think I looked into it one time. You set it up in like in an Excel spreadsheet, like on this date, this is the reading, it's Daniel chapter 3. I don't know if you could attach content to that, but I mean, like you could have the plan there, and then like with the media tab or with the links and stuff, you could have your devotion in there.
Mm-hmm. That
And
is pretty cool,
so
actually.
there's the Bible tab, obviously, like all your events and stuff like that. Like if you go really all in on Subsplash, I mean, they have events and stuff like that. The only things we don't do with Subsplash is we don't do streaming through them. Um, um, and we don't do giving through them. But
But they offer all those.
yes, they offer giving, apps,
Huh.
um, websites. The good thing about Subsplash is that it is very easy to do a website with them, because it's almost like, and I think the point is for it to be easy for you to, if you don't have any web design experience whatsoever, to not have to worry about that.
So they're really trying to position themselves as like a planning center kind of competitor more than anything, where it's like, we want to be the one hub where all the stuff that your church is doing is kind of
Yeah.
housed, whether that's hosting the video from your stream, or streaming your stream, or
Yeah.
running your website, running your events registrations, and giving and everything.
Yeah.
Do they have a database product?
Yeah, I think it's called, let's see what it's called. Subsplash. I want to say people, but I don't think it would be people because that's planning center.
That's really interesting. What about emails? Do they do like emails?
No, I think they just call it church management. They have Subsplash One, which is the all-in-one platform to know, grow, and engage your church. So I think it would just be church management, child check-in, email builder.
So they do have emails.
So like a MailChimp type deal.
That's actually
service
wild.
planning. Yeah. So they do have groups and messaging, which at first I thought was going to be like a really cool thing for us to like use the app. Because I also wanted to use our app to do what Subsplash is trying to get you to do, to be like the one-stop shop for like where
I would love anything like that for us right now, because so much of what we have to do to manage events or team stuff is just literally like me sending group texts off of my personal iPhone, which is just like not how I want anything to be done, and even with a thing like Planning Center, like sure I can send emails, but it's really difficult to send texts from it, and or darn near impossible usually, and that's just, most people, they're going to want to text you back and forth. So anything that could get close to that kind of functionality of messaging or whatever would be really cool. Yeah. And then, of course, I'm starting to think immediately down the line, because I know that there's meetings that I'm not in, but I know Michael is in, about like trying to think about like, okay, now how could we cook up like some integrations with this?
Yeah, that's what I'm excited to see, because like now, if being a, day one Pulpit AI user, like anything that I would put in our app or website would come from, from Pulpit to me, to whatever, however we're going to produce whatever it is.
Right.
And then it would be uploaded. But like, I mean, that's way beyond my pay grade, obviously, of figuring that out. Of like, I don't even know what I would want.
Just the idea of having, like the idea of having a single kind of like a CMS kind of dashboard sort of thing, where you could be like, okay, here's the stream, we're filtering it into this, where we're gonna upload this is gonna get kicked out to YouTube, and then as we're doing that, it gets chopped up into clips, and then as that happens, then this gets analyzed so that we can create a transcript that can be put out for and chopped up into a Devo that then gets associated with this reading plan. Like, the more that at a certain point, the more that you have, you know what I mean? Like, where you can just keep aggregating all this functionality. Now, of course, that's all like, we're not saying we're going to do any of that, but I think the potential is really there. The potential, somebody listen to us. The potential is really, really there, I think, to do some really cool stuff.
The other thing I didn't mention is we also have, or they also do TV apps. And so like we, as part of, we had this before with another company, and it was kind of not very user friendly. So like when we jumped on board with Subsplash, we had to like redo everything. But like we have an Apple TV app and a Roku app with all of our media.
Oh,
And so like,
very cool.
yeah. So Roku's always kind of been a bigger one for us because it's another thing they did before I even got on staff. But like we had a bunch of shut-ins that couldn't come to church
Yeah.
anymore. And this was pre-COVID too. So like we had this Roku channel that we streamed to and then obviously housed all of our content on afterwards, that like our pastoral care guy would go and install a Roku channel or a Roku stick at like a nursing home or whatever. So we've had that for a while, but then they're a little bit better with Subsplash.
And that gave you some advantages over YouTube too, because I
Yeah.
don't know, Roku's even like the Roku stuff that gets bundled on like a junky like OEM TV is like much nicer to use than YouTube. You know what I mean? It's just much more intuitive, and lots of people have those in their TV, like just by default, either like crappy Roku or an Apple TV is hooked up somewhere, and so like having access to that is like really nice. Actually, dang, I didn't know that was even a possibility. That's interesting.
Yeah. It's one of our bigger platforms, I think, actually. So.
Oh, so you can get stats on that and see.
Yeah, I mean, there's analytics like I'll pull it up. I mean, what is this going to? I guess I don't mind sharing this.
Oh no, I mean, I don't need to like have specifics, but just like I hadn't even thought about that as a possible avenue. And then it makes you wonder, like, well, would there be a benefit to try and share clips to that, like longer ones, maybe like 10-minute clips of something, or would there be a benefit to try and put together specific content for that? Like,
probably, because like I'm not technologically savvy enough to do this quick, so I'll just have to like pull it up on my phone and like show you. But like when you open up the Bible app, and you like when you upload, this is one of our devotions. So like if you upload a devotion and you tag, this was the passage for that, 1 Corinthians chapter 16. When you're in the Bible app, if you're on a chapter with a corresponding piece of media, it shows you. So
that's really cool.
So yes. So like, and then this is a newer feature that I haven't even really taken advantage of, I don't think. I don't use Subsplash as much as I should. Like I was thinking about that today in preparation for this actually. But when we first started, the way it worked was like you basically had to create like playlists with links to everything.
Sure.
But since we've been using them, they have like a dedicated media tab to where it shows automatically like your latest media and then filters things by topic and scripture and stuff like that. And so like if you click on today's devotion, it'll give you like related by topic or related by scripture. Here's other pieces of media.
Now, does that create a second workflow for you whereby you're having to like export stuff and then, okay, now this has got to be uploaded to YouTube and then it's got to also be uploaded to Subsplash and like, or how does that work technically? Okay.
Yeah.
We could go down the whole rabbit hole and all that, like tactically, but what's interesting to me is just the idea that like, I think it's becoming, I think we talked about this the other day online, that I think I sent something out where I was like, look, like the model isn't, it might have been from one of our podcasts. The model isn't like, a church being a TV station. The model is a publishing house. Meaning like a TV station model is like, hey, like we're going live. I think I was talking to Chad about this actually. We're going live now, and you've got to be like, synchronous, tuned in, sitting there watching this, because this is how you're going to get any connection to us at all, is either being in the building right now at this time or sitting at home watching right now at this time. And there's nothing the matter with that. And obviously,
if you have the capability to do both, you should do both.
Sure. And increasingly, like, it's pretty easy to just do a stream and not have it be like that resource intensive. And I'm not even saying don't do that. What I'm saying is like what we're talking about here with something like Subsplash, that then you're putting Pulpit AI on top of. You're not creating something with this mentality of like, gee, I hope everybody tunes in live for this, because that's the one time they're going to get any benefit out of this.
Yeah.
Except for maybe we'll throw it in an archive tab and you can go dig that stream out and watch it later if you really want to. But what we're talking about is this idea that every time you're teaching, not only are you benefiting all the people that were there that day, and all the people that might have been tuning in live on the stream, but you're now creating this like central publishing house of exposition and sermons and information and application and devotionals and whatever, right? That people can continue accessing constantly, and you can continue publishing from and out of constantly in ways that people can actually be a benefit to people. Monday morning is just a great way, in a way that's just as accessible to people that it would be, sitting in church on Sunday morning. And again, I'm not that. A lot of people push back against that as if you're anti Sunday morning. But the reality is, no, I'm just also pro Monday morning, right? Like I just really want to make sure that our church is encouraging and reaching everybody all those other days. And there's a lot that can be done when you think about it that way of, hey, how are we actually producing some sort of blessing and encouragement? And I'm really trying hard not to use the word content, but there it is. That is accessible to somebody asynchronously.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Where it can just, at any time, you can kind of be in a place where it's like, oh, I forgot, here's the daily reading list with a devotional, that's kind of connected to what we talked about on Sunday. And now I'm remembering, oh yeah, that's right. That's what happened on Sunday. And I'm connecting to this other part in scripture. Like, that's very, very powerful. Yeah. And it doesn't sound like it's that complicated when you've got kind of that engine built, for lack of a better term.
Yeah. I mean, it's really not complicated at all. But like, I was trying to watch some videos earlier, actually, because I came across Wild at Heart app, which was kind of random because I read that book like several years ago. But like, they're using Subsplash. And so like, they have all this different media that's a part of their ministry, and they're not even a church. And so like,
right.
Subsplash obviously does a lot with a lot of different organizations, but like, I mean, I think our setup is pretty dumbed down and simple, but then I'm looking at like Wild at Heart's app, and I'm like, for example, they have it's called like a daily reading thing. And I think it's like just different excerpts from all their stuff over the years. But like, something as simple as they have, like, when you click on it, there's like the reading for the day, but in the same tab, there's like an audio version and a video version. And I'm like, well, our devotions, for example, we just upload the video, and with Subsplash, it's pretty easy to just automatically switch to audio and listen to it just like you would a podcast, which is a cool feature.
Yeah, that's
but
great.
Like, something as simple as like adding a written side of that would be beneficial to our people too. But I'm like, okay, now I have to go figure out how to do it, because the way the app is kind of built off of like lists and playlists and stuff.
Right.
And so like, you can have like lists with lists and lists and lists and lists on top of each other. And so it's simple, but also there seems to be more customizability that I'm like aware of, that I have to figure out now.
So it's just about like a library building, and then being able to exploit that library and say like, well, now that we have access to this library of sermons, what can we do with that? Yeah. And of course, I think that's valuable, because I feel like a lot of churches, and we of course bang that drum all the time, but it's like, I just don't think it's fair. Ideally, you've got a pastor who's spending 10 hours a week or more, studying for Sunday, and you don't want that to, and I say go to waste. That's not the right way to look at it at all. But you don't want there to not be this huge long tail of encouragement that comes from that, right?
Yeah.
And if you do it right, what we're talking about, there can be, right, where this stuff isn't just kind of forgotten somewhere in a corner of the website, but it becomes a part of people's, hopefully people's like kind of daily rhythm of like walking with the Lord and being encouraged and stuff. And yeah, I can't think. Well, we're making the case for apps now, Brady. We're going back to making the case. We should. Yeah. Well, maybe I'll put up a big old flame thread and see what happens.
I think Brady's point is like, not every, and I am aware of this as the person that gets to do this full time. Like, Brady's point is that most people do not have a person that has like their sole responsibility as things like apps.
Sure.
So Brady's point is that like your average church with 1 to 2 people on staff, like a church that you serve at, like your time is better served elsewhere.
Yeah, but
I think
contra that point though, is like, how many people do you know at your church whose primary way of getting a piece of content, like a media piece of content, is opening up the browser app on their phone
yeah,
and looking for it that way?
that's true.
I could be totally wrong, but I would
Yeah,
venture to bet that most people are not doing that. Most people are going to an aggregator that they use, YouTube, Spotify, Substack, whatever. And in fact, people have high preference around that. Like, I really wish that this guy had a Substack because that's where I like to get all my stuff. Or,
yeah,
oh, this is my favorite podcast, but they're not on YouTube, and all I do is watch YouTube. I'm not going to go over there to that podcast app or whatever, right? So to
yeah,
me, there's a if you're gonna put your 10 toes on and say, no, we have a website, we put all this work into our website, and that's what we can do, it's like, cool. But I just don't think most people are like, I don't think in this day and age you can really stand on the user accessibility of, wait, well, remember to go to our website and check out all the
yeah,
new things that are on there now. I just don't
yeah.
think that that's how people think anymore.
And then with websites, you get into like, oh, well, we redesigned the website 3 years ago, and like, there's pictures for the student ministry that have like, these kids have been graduated for 6 years, and it's like, okay, well, I can't stay on top of all that. But like with an app, you're like, here's the things you need to know. Like, here's an events tab. Here's what's coming up. Here's where you can sign up for things. Here's our connection card, and here's our media library.
That's interesting. Yeah, it definitely makes a better case, I think, for it, because now it's not just, like you said, it's not just a web frame.
Yeah.
It's actually providing something that a website couldn't provide, which I think is
Yeah.
really cool. Well, dang. All right. Well, let's see. I have to see if they've got they're going to be on this call here. But yeah, dude, that's all super helpful. And next time, see, the sneak peek is, this is all around. I think this is called dog fooding. Is I just have these conversations with you guys so that I can solve problems that I have in my day job. But the main issue that I'm now facing, and we talked about this will be for next time we talk, is, so now I'm starting to have platform questions. We're building over at our church we're working to create like a media platform, for lack of a better term, where we want to have books, shorter, maybe content, conference videos that we're packaging up, all this stuff, right, available on one kind of website type platform. But the question that we're beginning to ask is, are we just trusting that, well, someone will come to the website, or do we need to find the best platform to deploy something like this? And what does that look like? Is it an app that we would design in Subsplash? Is it that we need to harness a Substack type platform and really just go for that and triple down on it? Do we need to, say, no, what this is a YouTube channel, and we really, and that's really the next question that I'm trying to solve, is when you have a media ministry type thing that is out of your church, but is not just sermon driven necessarily. Is there now, in the new, whatever this is now, what are we up to, social media 3 or 4 or 5, in that new world, is there a best way to do that? And what's interesting to me is I had never even thought of using Subsplash for that, because you just think of Subsplash as, oh, that's an app for your church. But maybe you have a second app that you're packaging, where it's like, hey, if you want to be part of, this is our church's other kind of media ministry thing. If you want to be part of that, there's a separate app where people just get used to checking them. And I had never even thought about that.
I would say, because we've talked before, and I know that y'all are like self-publishing books, like that would be the biggest hang up for Subsplash for me. But I mean, like, you can do PDFs, I think.
Right. And there's no good platform for publishing books. I mean, frankly, like, that's that's a conversation for another day, which I think is really interesting. And I would love to see, there's a massive stranglehold on that from like a publishing perspective around pastors that I would love to see disrupted. And there's probably ways to do it. But yeah, man. So that's the next question, is we got to talk platform next time on Pastor's Lunch Break. We'll talk platform. Okay. But for right now, this will help me not embarrass myself on this phone call I'm about to have.
Yeah.
So that'll be really, really helpful. I appreciate it. And the next time, I'll just we've solved imposter syndrome for yet another day. What are you working on today?
What was I doing earlier today? Oh, we recorded a new podcast today.
Nice.
So we're 6. Today was episode 6. We're launching it like officially tomorrow. And we're doing that on Substack. So like you asked about that, like,
interesting.
I just wanted to try something different. And so we're doing it on Substack.
Interesting. Well, we'll be watching that. I'll be watching that for sure, just to kind of see, so I can learn from all that stuff, the launch stuff. All right, Broxton, appreciate you, man. Thank you for helping me out there.
Yep.
And we'll see you guys all next time.
All right. See ya.